Hello, welcome back. It is Heather from The Reading Mama, and today I have a Midway May update. Let's put it that way. I'm going to go over things I finished this week, what I have slated for this week, and what I'm still trying to get to. And there's an impossible stack of books in front of me, considering I have 3 birthdays in the next 10 days. So yeah, let's go over what I finished this week. So I did a lot of audiobooks. I did finish The Women of Oakridge by Michelle Shocklee, and that was phenomenal, just phenomenal. And I talked about it in my last wrap-up video, but I'll give you a little bit more of an update. But it is a dual timeline. You follow somebody in the 40s and somebody in the 70s. That kind of dual timeline historical fiction is Michelle Shocklee's way of doing things. And you get a bit of a mystery in this one. There's a missing person. There's some espionage. There's a lot of intense mentally abusive behavior. And yeah, there's a lot going on. It is very strongly Christian, and probably one of the most strongly Christian books that I've read by Michelle Shocklee. It was just the testimony and gospel of Christ went through super clear at one point, and the freedom that you get when you accept Jesus was just beautifully displayed. And so you have Laurel, who is in the 70s, and she's going back and visiting her aunt, who lives in this secret city, Oakridge, where they made not the plutonium, uranium, for the atomic bomb. And she visits her aunt there, and she's hoping to interview people who live there because she wants to see, what effect did all that lying and secrecy and all that stuff have to do with them, and how has that affected them later in life. And then in the past, you're following her aunt, who has just the best name, Maybelle. I just thought it was so cute. And so she's moved to the city. She's from a rural area in Kentucky, and everything's new, and she doesn't really understand, and she's very naive, and that's frustrating. Like, naive characters really annoy me. But it was very realistic situation. Sorry, my allergies are acting up. But it was very well done. I loved how everything was not necessarily a happy, good ending. It was a good ending, but not everything was perfect in the end, if you know what I mean. And so I just really appreciated that. Michelle Shocklee is one of my favorite authors right now, and I'm enjoying that. I also started a indie book by Havig called Ready or Not, and that was so fun. It was just a fun kind of, it was just a fun book. Because in it you follow Aggie, who is a 22-year-old college graduate, and she has just taken over guardianship for her 8 nieces and nephews after her sister and brother-in-law tragically passed away. And just as a mama of 8, all the hijinks and the exhaustion and everything felt very relatable. In that regards, I loved just kind of a slice of life, so to speak. You talk about windows and mirror books, and that was definitely a mirror book in that regard. But you go through a couple of different things, and she ends up moving with them and all the chaos, and then she goes through a modeling project, which is like a dream. Like, if I had all the fun money like she does, that would be amazing. Instead, we have what we have. But it was just really good. I'm going to continue the series. It was really fun. Lots of very quirky, funny things, and very witty writing, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And it looks like it's leading up to a romance and all of those kind of things, even though it was very clean, very much, there was no romantic things throughout. It was very well done for a Christian contemporary fiction, which is not usually my jam. I really enjoyed it. I'm going to continue the series, and I don't have it because I had to take it back to the library, but I did read that as a physical copy. Then I read Ariadne by Jennifer Saint, and I did that audiobook, and it was a very well done audiobook. I'm reading that as part of Loyal to Literature is doing a mythology readings, and so it was supposed to be women empowered, or women triumphant is what it was, women triumphant. Ariadne is all about the women. None of them are triumphant. None of them. Maybe Hera might be triumphant. Ariadne does a spin of the Theseus and his defeat of the Minotaur, and then you have some Didymus in there, and there's a lot of wrong done. A lot of wrong done to the women, a lot of wrong just done, and in the end, none of the women feel triumphant. It was very bleak, very it follows a Greek mythology, and you're kind of seeing like behind the scenes of those great heroes and the gods of the epic stories, and like, well, what about the women who were with them that are kind of like a footnote in most of them? And that's the spin. And I appreciate that kind of point of view. That was really neat. But it was kind of depressing. I'm not going to lie. There were some really good quotes, though. So go check out that. I did enjoy it, but be prepared. It's not going to be uplifting. And then I did an audiobook for the Fairest Beauty, Melanie Dickerson. I'm trying to read through Melanie Dickerson's Hoggenheim series this year. Mostly just because I accidentally read one at the end of it and loved it. So I've gone back to the beginning. The other ones are... Fairest Beauty is a Snow White retelling, and it's good. It's good. It's good, clean YA fiction. Is it the creme de la creme? No, it's not. It's not. But I am enjoying it, and I like finding books that I can give to my kids. And this one, you have, Snow White is played by a character named Sophie. Her father was the Duke. Duke dies. The evil stepmother is... put her into indentured servitude, basically, and nobody knows that she's actually the Duke's daughter anymore, except for a few people who get out the word. And her betrothed's family comes to rescue her, and they end up with 7 men in a cottage with 7 men while they heal, and there's a lot going on. Lots of strong Christian themes, which I appreciate. And I really appreciated the focusing on, like, oh, hey, we've been alone together. We need to make sure that we're keeping correct distance, just things that I would want my young girls to consider. Like, don't be alone in the woods with a man. I mean, it's a very different context today than it would in, fairy tale land. But there's no magic or anything like that. There's just the basic story of Snow White. And she does a good job. It's good. Great, no. And then I finished... my reread of Betrayal of Eden, and you can see I've tabbed it up with all kinds of things. I probably should be more organized and color code them, but they're just random tabs that were the end of my tabs. So they're all different colors and they're all mean different things. Sometimes it's a great quote. Sometimes it's that it's a foreshadowing, or it's oh, I need to come back and find this when I go through a hunt of Calypso next. Betrayal of Eden, I've talked about this I don't even know how many times. I love it. Absolutely loved it. It was even better the second time because I already read The Hunt of Calypso. And so I could see all that foreshadowing and all those different things and be like, oh, that was a nugget of information that I need to remember when I go through Hunt. And so I really loved it. Here we're getting a Count of Monte Cristo retelling, and this is the basic beginning part. It's also, she says, Cinderella gone wrong, and I totally can see that as well. It is gender swap, so it is a woman who is going through the Count issues, and yeah, she's very naive and very frustrating, and it kind of makes it hard to get through the first half of the book, which is kind of how I felt like with Count of Monte Cristo, because you've got to get all the background information, and so it takes a while to get to where it's like, yeah, this is exciting, but then once you get it, you just snowball through, and I absolutely love it. It also follows a young man named Hunter, and you're kind of like, what is his purpose in here? And it makes more sense in the next book. I promise you, it does connect. But you get really invested in his life. He's an indentured servant whose father was looking into the regional magic systems, and he suddenly mysteriously died. And now Hunter has stuck with his debt, working for a horrible person, and he's just angry at the world. And yeah, things happen, and it ends on an insane cliffhanger. So just keep that in mind. I also finished Wendell Berry's Selected Poems of Wendell Berry. Would I say he's my favorite poet? No. Were they interesting? Yeah, I enjoyed them. I have several that I've tabbed, either the whole poem or a specific line. He's free verse, which is always hard for me to grasp. Very pastoral, very not faith, but spiritual, and then family and nature in general. He had some that I thought were really, like his commentary, that I could be like, oh, that's in response to the Vietnam War, because I read all those Vietnam books this year. Was actually really neat to be able to see that in the moment how he was processing things. So that was really cool. I also finished Omnivores Dilemma, and I did an audiobook. I have the physical book because my teenager is reading it, but I really enjoyed it. It says The Natural History of 4 Meals. And I guess I didn't really think anything of the subtitle, but he has the corn, the industrial meal, the agricultural meal. I don't even know. What is it? So corn, grass, and the forest are his focuses. And he focuses on food, following it in an industrial path, and following it in a more natural agricultural thing, and then hunting and gathering. I don't know about the 4 meals. It's weird. Anyways, I'm not going to digest that right now. But it's very eye-opening when you look at some of these things, and that's why I have my kids read it. And I knew I'd read snippets of it over the years, which is why I assigned it for her, and I wanted to finish the whole thing. I felt like the last half, the hunting and gathering thing was just, I don't know, he had a big moral dilemma about hunting. I don't have that moral dilemma. Food is food. God gave it to us. I think sometimes as a Christian, some of the things that people who are secular don't, it behooves them, but God's already given me an answer, so I don't have to worry about it. And so those kind of things. He also spent way too long talking about mushrooms. The first half of the book I really liked. Part 3, I just told my teenager, I was like, you don't have to finish. Don't read part 3. There was no point. But otherwise, do I think it's an important read? Yeah, I think it is, because we are so separated from our food. Even here, we grow up in rural Indiana in the middle of farmland. We don't see a lot of animals. My kids, our church buys us half a cow every year, so my kids know where meat comes from and all that. But knowing the industrialization side, that's all hidden. So I feel like that's something that is important to discuss with our kids. And so that's what I finished this week. I DNF'd Spy Family. Not because it wasn't interesting, it's just, I feel like the story could be really interesting, and that's why I keep picking it up. I'm just not into manga. I just can't get into it. And it has nothing to do with backwards reading for me, but I just couldn't get into it. So it's going back to the library. Could not deal with it. I am in the middle of like a million books. So let's go through what I'm in the middle of. So I am in the middle of Truth Curse because it has to go back to the library. This is an Angie Dickerson book, and I'm trying to read through Enclave Publishing's books, and the library had this one, and it sounds really interesting. She's been cursed with telling the truth. I've started it. I haven't been able to pick it up. I'm going to do that later today, hopefully. Warbreaker, sorry, my son finds that an inappropriate dress, so I covered up for him. But I enjoy Warbreaker. I did get a day of reading it, but as you can tell, I didn't make it very far. I love it, but again, I just haven't had time to pick it up because physical books are hard, which is sad because I have a really big physical stack. I did start Eleanor of Aquitaine, and I really did enjoy it, but it is taking me longer than I thought it would. So I have it tabbed up for what I think I want my kid to read it next year, and so I'm going to move those tabs because I already had to move one because chapter 1 it took me an hour to read. I did have interruptions, but I'm doing a buddy. Oh, I guess I should tell you what this is. Eleanor of Aquitaine is a biography. Alison Weir does have historical fiction also, so keep that in mind. But Eleanor of Aquitaine was the wife of, Henry II, I think. She owns a lot of land in France and was very powerful, and it's really interesting to kind of see the powerful women rulers in France in that first chapter. So that's interesting. Then I'm reading Mario Escobar along with Alma and Jane and Jeanette Reads and Emma's book journey, and I love Mario Escobar. We're doing a buddy read, and I started the first, I was supposed to read 8 chapters and I got lost and read 12, but very interesting about the Spanish Civil War. And so this is supposed to eventually end up in Latin America. I don't know. But Mario Escobar did some phenomenal historical fiction, and this is very personal to him and his family. I did finally start How Should We Then Live, and immediately got interrupted. But I think I'm on page 22. Wait, when does it start? 19? I did read the prologue, but I've already tabbed it up quite a bit because it is just very interesting. And so basically, it's the rise and decline of Western thought and culture. And so you're getting a biblical worldview because Francis Schaeffer is a Christian as he analyzes some of the history and the different cultures. And so the first chapter is all about ancient Rome. So I really would like to pick it back up, but I got interrupted. And then I started Mill on the Floss, and I think I talked about this in the other one, and I immediately had to stop because it was so good. I was doing an audiobook that I was pausing it like over and over and over and having my teen write it down while I was driving. And that's just not going to work. So I got a physical copy, and this is like a brand new hardback copy that I got really cheap from thrift books. And it's a 1980s printing, but it's very nice. So I'm excited to start actually reading it. I probably should have got a cheap copy because I don't feel like I can annotate it. It's so nice. So I'm gonna have to have my commonplace book next to me while I do this because there was just such phenomenal writing in the first 3 chapters, I think. So yeah, I'm in the middle of that. So that's a lot of books that I'm in the middle of. Then I have books that I want to get to this week because they're part of my May reads. They're books I saved for like dessert, and then I'm like, oh no, now I'm not gonna get to them. So I'm gonna read Light Princess. I'm actually thinking I'm gonna read this aloud to my kids. I think they would enjoy that. It's a short read. Tessa Afshar's The Peasant King continues the story in Cyrus's kingdom. And that's all I know. It's a continuation from The Hidden Prince. The Earth Treader by Alyssa Zavalianos has to go back to the library, so I need to read that. And I don't really know anything about it. It's giving dystopian vibes. Calculated, I'm doing a read along for May and for the summer, and I need to read it. I'm very excited. I've been saving it like a treat for the month, so it's time to open it. And Woods of Silver and Light by Victoria McCombs, continuing her fairy tale stories. And this is, I don't know, is this Robin Hood? I think it's Robin Hood. And so I want to continue that. And these are like my dessert books that I have been waiting all month to read, and I need to crack them open. So hopefully I'll find some time to read all these physical books. I also have some audiobooks I'm going through, but I'm not like super invested in any of my audiobooks. I don't know. Right now, they are what they are. And so that's what my Midway May is. I've also been doing some different kinds of like, keeping track, like how I'm reading. And you can see it's like audiobooks every day. And physical, which I have green, is not on here represented very much. I'm really struggling to pick up physical books. And then I have the Hikeathon. I haven't read any books for Hikeathon. No, I did do a book with a map because Betrayal of Eden has a map. Betrayal of Eden has a map, and the lovely Erin Phillips gave me a postcard of the map that I used as a bookmark, which was super handy, by the way. And so I need to do, what do I need to do? A book set in the forest, which I've got wildlife on the cover, trail on the cover, has a hike in it, and Lost in the Woods. And then for mythology, if I want to continue magical beings and then around the world. And I've got audiobooks set up for those because I feel like mythology, that's something I could just have on too. But I'm also getting ready for summer, so I'm excited. So I have my summer reading challenge of reading through the Calculated series if you want to join along. Big Book Summer starts next Friday, which is any book after over 400, and that's by Suzanne Jackson. So it just has like a spot for me to put it in my journal. I might make a little graphic. I don't know. She doesn't usually have like a prompts or anything. It's just read a book over 400 pages, so I can do that. I just saw that Beautiful Minutia has her summer bingo out, so I'm going to watch that video when I'm done filming this and put that in there. And then Chantel has this cute passports to summer reading, and I loved it so much that I am going to print that out for my kids and have them do it because our library reading program for the summer is not great. But and it just has like little tiny prompts. So along with all of Chantel's other reading challenges I'm doing, so I'm going to do that one because it'll be easy to do. And I always love a good one. So I'm just kind of accumulating my summer readings. There is another reading challenge, the June Journey with the Inklings I'm getting ready to do. I don't know that I'm going to do all of the prompts this year. I didn't last year either. It's just too many prompts for June, and like I can't, most Inkling books I can't read quite so fast. Like the Narnia book, sure. A nonfiction book about C.S. Lewis' life, no. I just need to slow down. So I don't know that I can do all of these different things, but I'm going to see how many I can do because I love Kaylee's little thing, and sometimes I make that a summer long thing, not just June. So that's what's going on, what I'm getting ready for. Yeah, there's a lot going on. I think I'm up to a ridiculous amount of books for the year. A ridiculous amount. So let's see here. 111, but I'm pretty sure I didn't add like 4 that I finished this week. So we're gonna, just keep chugging along. I feel like I haven't read very much this month overall because it's only one post it's worth. But I do know that I've read a lot. That's a lot more, like one book is a lot for some people. So I'm going to try to keep that in mind and deal with it and not stress myself out with like, oh no, you're not reading enough. I do need to read more physical books. So hopefully I can get that done. Let me know how your month is shaping up. How are you doing with May? What book things are you getting ready for the summer? We have just exams this next week for our homeschool, and then we are done-ish. I have VBS, Vacation Bible School, and I'm completely in charge of all of that, and I have a million things to do for it, and I'm in denial. But hopefully I will be able to jump into some books for some respite from all of that. So thank you so much for watching. Have a blessed day.